Okay guys, so I'm getting ready to go to my Century ride. I already rode over here. I was trying out different things. I have my Garmin on my wrist now, and then I also have the Garmin on the bike. I'm still running this with the bigger road gears, a 2x, and that's a big 50, I believe. I think it's 50 or 52, I'm not sure, but it's big for gravel. And I'm going to be switching it out to some smaller gearing, but it's nice for these flat roads. I'm riding down the bike path, a very common place to ride. I always bring a pack because I bring a lot of stuff. I don't like to stop and get snacks and stuff like that. And when you're riding a Century, you do have to eat along the way. So it brings a lot of snacks that I can just munch on. Today I have my Explore 101 rims. Those are the zip rims with my King wheels. So I just got some new headphones. These ones are supposed to be more windproof, so I'm going to try those out today, but that's essential for a long ride like this. So I usually stop here and then I get ready. I turn off my lights because I rode over here and I had my lights, warning lights if you will. So you'll see the parking lot here with people getting ready for their rides. What's nice about this bike path, and this is in Kanto Park in Dorothy. So but what's nice about here is you can drive over here. I live 10 miles away and I just figure I want to get the full Century in anyway, so I'm going to be needing those 10 miles. Plus in the morning coming over here, there's not that much traffic. I only do this on the weekend, so it'll be a Saturday or Sunday morning, and there's just not that much traffic early in the morning on the streets coming over here. But this is a very popular place because it's right next to the San Gabriel River bike path, and that San Gabriel Valley River bike path has miles and miles and miles of route that you can. Hold on, let me cross the street safely. And so you can go up and add a little cap to it and go to the top of the bike path, or just keep on going up the highway, and that's really good. You're not going to get that much altitude, but you can get up to around 4,000 or 5,000, just like I do on my Mount Wilson climb, except I'm doing it on trail with my Mount Wilson climb. Anyway, so I'm going to head down, go straight down to the beach this time without going up, just because I want to get more mileage along the beach. Is what I did last time I rode down to Huntington Beach and back, and that was nice. But that's what I want to talk to you guys about. And you guys, most of you probably, this is Nurse to Tech, or if you're on my Ride for Life, Fit for Life, I'm not sure which YouTube you're watching it on. I have a couple of YouTube channels. The Nurses to Tech people, if you go to my Ride for Life, Fit for Life website, or YouTube channel, that goes all the way back to when I had an original website a long time ago, and I was doing boot camps and indoor spinning classes for many years. And then I took that from there, and I was traveling to the Philippines, and it's a vlog, but it turned into mostly cycling stuff because I do a lot of cycling. That's just what I love to do, and I'm always riding my bike. And I thought, well, why don't I just start putting up videos all the time of my different bike rides and talk about bike stuff. And so kind of it gelled into that. But I do still have some videos on there of riding my bike in the Philippines actually, but also just the life there. And that was kind of how I got, well, before it was started with something else, but just for fitness, but then it went to that. Anyway, so I want to talk about consistency and fitness and stuff. And this is what you commonly hear when you go to big groups, and let's say you're going to a dinner party, or you're going to a get-together, or you're sitting around lunch with workers, or so on and so forth, but you're just interacting with groups of people that you've never met, networking, if you want to call it that, or you're just into, because of work, because of whatever, because of travel, you just end up finding yourself talking to a group of people. And you bring up like riding a century or running a marathon or something like that, and there's going to be always somebody, yeah, I've run a marathon, I've rode a century, I've done a triathlon, or anything like that. And so I'm not trying to demean those people at all. I'm just saying, then you don't really want to dive in to be critical with them, but you almost feel like, well, what are you doing now? Are you still riding? Are you still running? Are you still doing triathlons? And when you do that, you're either going to get, yes, I'm training for one next month or whatever like that, and I feel that's great when I hear that. But 9 times out of 10 is like I hear somebody say, yeah, I did it, I think I might do it again sometime. And not to criticize their looks, but a lot of times you look at them, they don't appear to be healthy and fit. That's all I'm saying. I'm not gonna put them into any type of category, because there's a lot of people that may be a little bit overweight and still have a great cardiovascular health. No medications, no anything like that. So that's what I want to talk to you about, the consistency factor. Then there's people that realize consistency is really essential. Consistency with your diet, consistency with your sleep, with your exercise, with your stretching, with your really, really good nutrition, having focused, diets that you follow, not just eating randomly. And I mean, we have that opportunity here in America because a lot of us aren't living in the fact that we have to live basically just working and eating whatever we have to eat, just because we're working so much and we're not making that much money, so we're just buying whatever. And that does affect us sometimes. You've heard of the starving student eating top ramen every day, and so on and so forth. So that could be a portion of your life, could be like that. But let's say later on, now that you're making a good salary, or making whatever, however you're working, you're making your money, and you don't have that excuse, if you will, that you just have to eat whatever. You can go to Whole Foods and Sprouts and Amazon or wherever and get whatever foods you want. And that's what I'm talking about. Are you consistently, because this video is about consistency if you haven't noticed, are you consistently eating good? I mean, and drinking plenty of water. So that's number one. Number two, what about your sleep? Are you using a sleep tracker like heart rate monitor watch, or I have a Ring too, and things like that to track your sleep? And even your smartphone, your Apple phone and your Apple Watch has sleep tracking. Are you using that sleep tracking to manage your sleep hygiene and take a look and say, well, I'm averaging you know, 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours of sleep every night, and I feel really rested and I get good sleep scores? Or are you just ignoring it, you know? And most of us, this is kind of a new thing. So I think for the most part, the majority of us aren't even aware of it, not that they're intentionally ignoring it.
Heart rate zone 0.8.
So then let me ask you about the other thing, is eating, resting, and then exercise. What about exercise? How consistent are you with your exercise? And how really intense is that exercise? Do you think it's effective and efficiently getting you to stay healthy? So when you look at exercise, that there has to be consistency with that, okay? Are you taking your dog for a walk every day, and it's a really vigorous long walk? This could be on the low end. Or are you on the higher end, running 5 miles a day, riding 25 miles a day, things like that? Are you doing that? And so when you get to that question, that's where I want to parlay that into that person that has done a marathon, has done a century, has done a triathlon, and has that in their back pocket as if it's some type of degree, you know, or something that you do once and you just leave it there and you got that degree. So that's, you know, it's nice that if you've been able to do that one marathon or century or something, but that's not going to keep you healthy. And yes, that made you learn how to push your limits, how to train, whatever you did to do that, you experienced that. And we can go into another topic about experience, but you've experienced that, and now you can recall what you've experienced and use that as a foundation to say, hey, I can do this again, and I need to get consistent this time, just like I was consistent when I was training for that race or that event, and I should be doing that pretty much all the time. And you'll make that realization. And I think that's very, very important, that you strive to be consistent and you make that realization sooner rather than later, because you're not going to get any younger, okay? You are not going to have a second chance, if you will, to get it right with your health. You're not, okay? You may feel like you got a second chance, maybe if you're older and you had that stent placement or that cabbage and you dodged the bullet and didn't die from a heart attack, but the damage is done. And yes, I guess technically you have a quasi second chance, because now you've got repaired, and those whatever you got, I mean, I got repaired. I have titanium rod in my leg, and I have injuries that I've had repaired, and yes, they're repaired, and I will be able to push myself longer now, but I still don't have that completely unrepaired body, is what I'm saying. You don't have a second chance to have something unrepaired and not needing repair. You only have one chance to keep that level of health up that you've never had to have any type of repairs done, and either therapeutically with medication or with surgery, so on and so forth. And the longer you can keep that first life, let's call it your first life, that initial health and be consistent about keeping that health, the same health you had as a teenager maybe, and you were in high school and you were on the football team, and yes, you got your knee banged up a little bit, but it healed and you managed to get right back out there and play the next week or whatever. But you had a resilient body that didn't have anything, you know, really serious go wrong with it, and you're probably eating right, training, listening to your coach, and you felt at the top of your game. You were an athlete, and that type of thinking young probably shaped that individual very well, but it also gave them that experience that would shape them. And there was a real consistency about going to school every day and being part of a team. And as you age into adulthood, some people join gyms and kind of become part of that team at the gym, of going to that same class all the time, or working out with the same people all the time, playing tennis or golf or whatever. But you have to have the consistency yourself. Nobody's going to give you a tardy or a no-show if you didn't go to school that day, and if you didn't go for that long bike ride with your friends that day. Nobody's going to put you down or say, well, maybe they'll put you down and razz on you, but I'm just saying you're not relying on that to make it to the next step. You do it because you want to. You have voluntarily doing that. So, you know, because we are lucky enough, and then I got to end this video, but anyway, we're lucky enough to be able to volunteer and do things and be consistent with them. Eat right, sleep right, exercise right, drink enough water, stretch, all that stuff, because we're fortunate. If we're a nurse, we've got a pretty solid career ahead of us, or we're in the midst of a career or coming to the end of that career. If you are a doctor, same thing. But if you're, you know, someone who is struggling and not financially stable, it's a little bit harder for you guys, and that's part of the problem too. So I hope those people that realize that health is wealth and they have to maintain that health no matter what their financial status is, that they do. So stay consistent, guys. Talk to you later.